We believe Twitter verification should be exclusive. It should be restricted to those who know someone who works at Twitter or is willing to pay someone like $16,000 behind the scenes. No. Twitter verification should be available to anyone willing to pay $8 a month. Elon, you don't think anyone would abuse that feature? No, of course they would, but we'll eventually catch them after the stock crashes for their brands, of course. We need to give it to journalists. It doesn't matter if they only have a dozen followers. If you write an article on a website, that means that you are an official verified user in the eyes of Twitter. If someone's willing to pay $8, then I think we should gladly let everybody on the platform, of course, sign up for Twitter Blue and have verified badges next to the name, unless they're on Android, of course, because Android doesn't exist. No. We can't have YouTubers and Twitch streamers getting verified. That would be ridiculous. Only people who write articles can actually be verified. No, I think the only way to get verified on Twitter should be signing up through the iOS app, because iOS is the entire internet, which Apple has a monopoly on, by the way. Not comfortable with the 30% revenue cut, but everyone should be verified. Good morning, Elon. I think you don't quite understand what a monopoly is. Tim, I'm pretty confident you hate free speech. Elon, I promise you I do not. I think we should take a walk by my pond. Fine. You want to be nice to me now? That's okay. I'll make my own pond, and it'll be far better than yours. Rest assured, I promise we will not remove Twitter from the App Store. So, those two guys, they're gonna have to figure out verification now. Oh, great. I had no clue there were so many wrong ways to do verification until after Elon took over. I wasn't happy with the old verification system, and I'm not really happy with the new verification system, so I figured with all of my complaining on their approaches, I should just break down exactly how I think verification should work on Twitter, and this goes for other platforms as well. To me, the entire purpose, we should go back to the root. Why have a badge? Is it to signify that you're paying Twitter money? Is it a selling point to convince people you are supporting a brand in some way, shape, or form, similar to how people who sign up for Tailosive Tech Plus have badges that change over time, and that's just a way of showing that you support this channel directly, which I'm grateful for. But do we need badges that show specifically that you're supporting the platform that you're already on? Like, you notice that when you sign up for YouTube Premium, you don't get any special badges or checks next to your name. And depending on the Discord server you're in, you can get badges that signify you have Nitro, but ultimately, I think Twitter verification has been looked at a lot more differently, because the platform as a whole has kind of had this emphasis on brand to consumer relationships. Twitter feels a bit less social emphasized to me and more so news oriented. There's a lot more of the tech community on Twitter, and there's a lot more interaction between celebrities and their followers there, unlike but not completely unheard of on Instagram or on Facebook. You tend to be following people within your social circle, not so much brands, but people do occasionally interact with brands on those platforms. But I definitely feel like Twitter verification has been a great way to ensure the person you're talking to is who they say they are. And that's ultimately what I think the purpose of it should be. I don't believe that having a check mark next to your name should signify this person is paying Twitter for some reason, because it's a flex move or a way of bragging to others that, hey, I'm supporting Twitter. Especially when there's as many parody accounts and alt accounts that we find all the time on this platform, not to mention, still, despite Elon claiming that they're cracking down on bots and spam accounts, there is still a crap ton of bots and spam accounts all over the platform. I personally don't think that it should be something you have to pay for to get verified, but there absolutely should be a due process. There was still not really a concrete or very apparent process on the old Twitter. Back years ago when they first opened up the verification application process, I tried to get verified, and I showed them, I have a YouTube channel that is verified. I am a podcaster, I'm a live streamer, and I've been verified on Twitch as well. I showed Twitter all of this evidence, and they were still like, nah, you don't meet our threshold, despite the fact that, again, there were journalists with a fraction of the followers that were getting verified simply because they wrote an article on a website, once. It was a very weird, invite-only program, and even though you didn't necessarily have to pay to get Twitter verified, some people were paying employees to get that check mark, and even though you didn't have to pay $8 a month to have it, it still turned into a flex thing where people were like, look at me, I'm verified. I got noticed by the employees at Twitter, and no one really knows how to get verified, but I figured it out. And I hated that. I didn't like the whole flex thing. I didn't think it needed to be a rare exclusive feature. Again, it should just be a way of knowing that you're talking to the person that is listed there. And while I'm in favor of verification becoming more normalized and not such a hype like flexing tool for other Twitter account users, I still don't think the way Elon handled it was good either, because on one hand, yes, he did kind of normalize it. Now there's like all kinds of people verified on Twitter that barely have any followers, but it did allow for an extreme amount of abuse, and I thought they were dumber with it than I originally anticipated. They had no due process at all. Literally anybody who signed up for Twitter Blue could have a check mark. It didn't matter if you were directly pretending to be a different brand account or a different person. So many people were emulating Elon Musk's account, pretending to be him, and there were even accounts that were pretending to be pharmaceutical companies, saying that they were going to give away all of their product or their insulin basically for free, and that caused the stock of that brand to crash because that looked like a verified account. So what was Elon's brilliant genius idea? Well, we're gonna have two checks now. So first of all, they shut off new verifications for Twitter Blue because it was going so horribly, and they now have a second check that says official on top of the first check, which to me completely defeats the purpose of having verified checks in the first place. If that means that one person has a check mark, they're not actually verified. But if you have the official badge underneath, that means they're extra, really technically verified. And I made memes about it because it sounded so ridiculous. But now it seems like their new approach is to have this multicolored verification process, which they haven't rolled out yet. They're still burning the midnight oil, I'm sure, on this one because a lot of Twitter employees quit. So whoever's left is working on this process where government officials will have a gray check mark, companies are going to have a gold check mark, and individuals, whether they're a celebrity or not, are going to have a blue check mark. This is definitely going to take some getting used to, and I think a lot of people probably just aren't going to understand it in the first place. But how I would fix it personally is that it should not be something you have to pay extra for. I'm not against there being a subscription with perks to Twitter, but to me, verification, again, is a way of knowing you're talking to the person that's listed there. It doesn't need to be something you have to pay extra for, just like how you shouldn't have to pay extra to ensure people in the comments of your videos that you are not a bot, you are not scamming them. So my pitch is that if you have a government-issued ID and your Twitter display name is listed as your first and last, I do believe that is important because there's a lot of people out there that just want to verify like one-word display names, and that kind of defeats the point of verification, because if you want to verify like the name Greg, and now that means that everybody else named Greg on the platform is not the actual verified Greg, then it just gets confusing, and it's very easy to have multiple accounts with the exact same name that are both verified. So you substantially reduce the confusion on the platform if you require a first and last name. So if it's an individual, I don't care if they have 10 followers, I don't care if they have 1 million followers. However big the account, if they can prove to Twitter via government-issued ID that, see, this is my name, I'm not lying, and then you can get verified, then I think that would clean up and simplify a lot of the process and just go, someone like, for instance, my friend Nick and Sweeney. He has government-issued ID proving that is his name, that is the name he has listed on his Twitter account. He should be verified, and he is now, but I don't think he should have to pay for Twitter Blue to be verified in the first place. But then comes the discussion if you're not an individual, you have a Twitter account that is acting on behalf of a brand or a company. For instance, a lot of YouTube channels like the Tailosive Tech Twitter account. I think there's a very easy and simple way to verify that brand, which is just to look at external sites. Like the Tailosive Tech YouTube channel, for example, is verified because YouTube has a very simple due process. Some would argue its threshold is a bit too high, but in order to get verified on YouTube, you have to have over 100,000 subscribers, and they don't let you change your display name very easily. So if I were to rebrand my channel to the Apple Sheep or something, I would lose verification and I would have to submit a request again, and someone at YouTube would manually have to review it. But if you have a verified account on a different platform, which we have Twitch, we have YouTube, both of which are linking to the same Twitter account, that's all it should really take. To me, that's proof that this is the account representing the brand that it says it is. If there's parody Tailosive Tech accounts, which I've seen in the past, but those external sites, whether it be Discord or YouTube or Twitch, are not linking to that parody account, that's how you know, okay, that's not the official Tailosive Tech account. And we can go back and forth all day on what the threshold should be. Like, you could argue that if someone has like a tiny YouTube channel and a very tiny Twitter following, maybe that brand doesn't necessarily need to be verified because they are very unlikely to have a parody or bots or scams emulating that account, given their audience is so small anyway. So maybe we could require, I don't know, like 100 followers, or if that's too low and it's going to require too many manual reviews, then maybe raise the limit to 1,000 followers. If you're under 1,000 followers, then they're not even gonna try to manually review a brand account. But what I'm still against with the concept that Elon is pitching with the individuals get a blue check mark and companies get a gold check mark is if not everybody's completely clear on the different color badges and everything. And again, Twitter is working with a skeleton staff right now. They're not updating the Android app with a lot of features. They're not updating the Mac app with a lot of features. It's still going to be confusing to a lot of people if there are parody accounts out there that are emulating Apple or Samsung, but they pay for Twitter Blue, so they get the badge. So Elon's response to that is they have to put that they're a parody in the title. But again, now you can have a verified parody account. To me, that just creates more confusion, and you have to be kind of this Twitter expert to know, well, it doesn't have a gold check mark, so that's how you know it's not real. But there's still pretty legit looking parody accounts floating around Twitter right now, and I just think personally that if you're a joke account or you're trolling or you're a parody, you don't need that verification badge. That's just going to throw people off, and that verified badge, and in my opinion there should really be one. There doesn't need to be an official separate check from the other check mark. All that should mean is that this is the account that it's displayed as. So if you have a Apple logo in your profile picture and you put Apple in your name but then parody kind of right next to it, that's still going to throw off a lot of people. So I'm not against the concept that many users on Twitter don't need to be verified, especially if you're trying to be anonymous. I don't really understand the point of having a verification badge if you're going to have a completely hidden username and you're not representing a brand or a company or anything. You're just trying to be an anonymous Twitter user. You still want to be the verified 8.264-LQ5. We don't need to verify that random account. So to me, requiring government issued ID and external links from separate accounts for Twitter followers with a certain threshold is the easiest way to eliminate the bots, eliminate the confusion, simplify things instead of having these multicolored badges and extra check marks that say official on top of other check marks and people pretending to be people they're not. And of course, manual reviews I just think have to be done to prevent someone from, I don't know, making a fake Apple YouTube channel that links to an Apple fake Twitter account that says, see, I represent Apple. Obviously, a human could step in there and say, yeah, Apple already has an account. We know this is not the actual Apple, so no, your verification request is denied. You need that kind of middleman, or maybe a sophisticated algorithm could help detect when someone is trying to emulate or parody another account by comparing profile pictures or just the overall brand name. You know, don't let random accounts emulate big companies and tank their stocks, because that's how you get lawsuits and in trouble with the SEC. I also think you could eliminate like over 90% of bots on Twitter just by banning anybody that posts too many crypto links. Like if someone is posting a crypto link giveaway 3 times within 1 minute, probably just ban that account, because there is occasionally some genuine people sharing Twitter links that have crypto addresses in them, but for the most part, everybody sharing those links is mostly bots and spam. So these are free ideas, Elon, that you can implement, and if you disagree, feel free to let me know why down in the comments below. I guess if you just want Twitter Blue to be a way to flex on other people, then you could put a badge next to their name. I just don't think it needs to be a verification badge. But to me, having badges next to your name is a great way to show who you're directly supporting. That's why it makes sense to me with the Tailosive Tech Plus and the YouTube memberships feature, is to be like, see, I'm supporting the channel that you're watching right now. Just have a badge that says I support YouTube directly, that feels unnecessary and adds a lot of confusion. So that's how I think Twitter verification should work. How do you think it should work? Feel free to let me know how in the comments down below. And thank you to everybody supporting this channel directly on Tailosive Tech Pro. Seriously, helps us out a ton, as does just watching these videos. So this is your Apple Sheep here, and I will see you all in the next one.